Hey guys, it's Amber. Welcome to my channel and to a different video from what I usually do. This has nothing to do with home fragrance. This is actually a video about what I read for the month of March. So along with home fragrance and Disney, I love to read. I am a bookworm. I read a lot of books. I enjoy books. Especially the fantasy genre. It's my favorite. And so I figured I've been toying with the idea for a while to share. I've been sharing on other social media platforms, but I figured that I would go ahead and just share the books that I've read for the month, and then probably what I'm planning on reading in another video type of thing. So different video from the norm, but I figured it would be a fun thing to do to change things up a little. So we'll see if I continue, but for at least this video, it's happening. So for the month of March, I was able to get through 4 books. There were some others that I had started, but I didn't finish. I'm very sensitive to content in a book, so if it's too spicy, or it has a lot of language in it that I don't appreciate, then I try to stop. I choose to stop. Sometimes I keep going if the story does grip me. I will still choose to continue to read, but I've been trying to be more, I can't even think of the word, more picky, I guess we'll say, as to what I choose to read. So there were a few books that I didn't finish because of that, but these are the ones that I did finish. I finished 4, and some of them I have the actual books for, and the other 2 I don't, because I usually get most of my books from the library because I don't have room. I wish I could buy every single book on the planet, but I don't have room. And so I will get my books now mainly from the library. And then if it is a book or a series that I fall in love with, then I will go ahead and purchase them for my collection. So I just decided that that's what worked best for me because I was overflowing with books. And so anyway, so yes, most of the books I get are from the library. And I personally prefer like real books over reading on my tablet or anything like that. That's just me. There's nothing that compares to holding a real book in your hand. So, okay, enough of that. Let's move into it. The first book, and the ones that I don't have like actual physical copies of, I'll put a picture somewhere around here so you can see the actual book cover. So the first one that I finished in April, or no, this is April, in March, was called Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. And it was the second book in the Emily Wilde series, which, let me read what it's about, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So when mysterious fairies from other realms appear at her university, curmudgeonly Professor Emily Wilde must uncover their secrets before it's too late. So Emily is a scholar, and they live in a world, so this takes place back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, in an alternate version of our world, a world that has fae in it, and it's commonly known that there are fae. And Emily is a professor at Oxford, and she specializes in studying fae, and she made, in her first book, the Emily Wilde's, what was it called? Encyclopedia of Fairy, I think is what it was called. Yeah, Encyclopedia of Fairies. She created an encyclopedia, and what was he? Another professor, his name is Wendell Bambleby. He ends up, well, I don't want to spoil anything, but he's her colleague, And the story is about finding, that's the thing, I don't want to spoil people because this is the second book. They end up having to go on kind of a quest to find something for him. And so they end up in, I think, where did they end up? Oh yeah, the Austrian Alps. They end up in the Alps on this quest to find something. So it's her and Bamblebee, and he's like the love interest, but she's like, in the first book, she had like, didn't realize her feelings at all. She's very logical, doesn't really open herself up to emotion, and is very like introverted, not wanting to socialize with other people. And then she, through that first book, realizes that she does have feelings for Bamblebee. And again, I don't want to spoil a lot. That's kind of spoiling the first book. But anyway, she's still the scholarly type in the second one. And they go on this quest to find this something. They need to find another realm, a fairy realm. And they take a couple, her niece ends up coming along, and also another professor, he's the dean of their school. He's not the dean, but whatever the head professor of their academia is. Anyway, he comes along too, so a lot of mishaps and stuff happen along the way, and I loved it. The first book I really enjoyed. It at first started off really slow, and I almost stopped because I was like, is this going anywhere? But then it picked up, and it was great. The second book I loved. It was so good. So Emily is a professorial type of person, and she can be grouchy at times, and she's very, like I said, very logical, but there's a lot of banter between her and Bamblebee, and she realizes that she has emotions, that it's okay to open herself up to other people. And lots of hijinks happen, a lot of danger, a lot of, magical stuff happen. And yeah, so it's a wonderful read. I really, really liked it. And so that is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. There is a third book coming out that will be out next year, I think, next January or February. If that one, I will absolutely read that one. And if that one does end up being like really good, where I loved it, then I will go ahead and buy the whole series, because I did really like the second book, which made me love the first book even more too. Okay, next book is okay, I'll do this one next. So my sweet husband, he bought me some books for my birthday last month, and he didn't really know what to get. He knew kind of what I liked in regards to like fairy tales, fantasy, romantasy, as long as it's not super graphic type of thing. So he ended up getting a few books for me, one I'm going to read this month, or I've started reading this month. And then he did get me, I haven't read a Daniel Steele book in forever, but he did get me a Daniel Steele book, Fairy Tale, which is a loose interpretation of Cinderella. It's kind of like a modern day Cinderella type of story. And the main character is named Camille, if I remember right. She lives with her parents in Napa Valley. Her parents have a fairy tale type of marriage. They love each other deeply. Her mother ends up getting sick, and like in Cinderella ends up passing, and then her father meets a French lady, because he's originally from France, meets a French lady in Napa Valley, falls in love with her. And anyway, so it's a loose retelling of Cinderella. He ends up, well, if you know Cinderella, it's not really going to be much of spoilers. He ends up passing away as well. And then she's left with the stepmother, and it's not stepsisters, they're stepbrothers, and they're horrid, very horrid. Anyway, this book was only okay for me. Like I said, it's been forever since I've read Danielle Steele. I'm not sure how her other books are, but this one was only okay. The writing was all over the place, and it was very simple. It was very simple writing, but like from one paragraph to another, you get different points of view to where you're like, now wait, who is this that's thinking these things, or whose point of view are we in now? It's just, it seems almost like it was just jumbled, like copy pasted, put together type of thing. And I'm sorry if you love Danielle Steele. Again, I haven't read any other books by her in years and years and years, probably since I was a teenager. So I don't know if this is like an anomaly in regards to her books or not. But that's how this one was. And then Camille is a pushover. Like, I wanted to slap her upside her head for a lot of it. And then the romance aspect with her was kind of just at the last couple pages of the book, to where, oh, now we're in love type of thing. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, only okay, but I love my husband for deciding to buy me books for my birthday. So that is Fairy Tale by Danielle Steele. The next one I read in March is called The Luminaries. And again, I'll put the book up here somewhere. And this one is, it's a contemporary fantasy, and it's by Susan Dennard, or Dennard, however you say her last name. And let's see, it says a haunting contemporary fantasy about the magic it takes to face your fears in a nightmare-filled forest, and the mettle required to face the secrets hiding in the dark corners of your own family. So it takes place, like I said, in it's a contemporary time, but there is like gods. I don't know if in the future books you get more info about these gods, but there's these gods that are like sleeping under the earth, and they showed up like years and years ago, all of a sudden. And while they sleep at night, they create nightmares that come to life at night and can kill people. And these are all different types of monsters, creatures, type of thing, werewolf, but like other type of monsters, so like all different stuff. They have ones called vampires, but they're not the same as normal vampires. There's like sirens, you know, all different types of monsters that can kill people. And then these luminary places is the different like hot spots for where the gods dream and the monsters come out. And then there are communities of people that call themselves luminaries in these countries that keep the planet safe from these monsters. So they're in charge of kind of killing them, making sure that they don't go away from that area and start killing unsuspecting people. So they're monster hunters, and the rest of the world outside of these areas where these gods dream and nightmares are formed, the rest of humanity don't know about these things. So it's about that. It's about a girl, kind of like a coming of age type of thing. Her family is kind of ostracized because this other faction of people, they want to use the nightmares and harness like their power or whatever. And come to find out her dad was secretly spying and one of these people. And so because of that, her whole family, he ran off and her whole family is ostracized. And so by her trying to become a hunter, a monster hunter, on her birthday, if she does that, she can bring her family back into good graces with the Luminaries. And they're ostracized for like 10 years. So they haven't been completely kicked out, even though they didn't know anything about what the dad did or anything like that until the mom found out about it. They're still like shunned from the rest of the Luminaries. So if she survives becoming a monster hunter, survives the trials, then her family would be welcomed back. That's her whole intent. That's what she's always wanted to be. First of all, is a nightmare hunter. And then if she does it, she knows that her family will be better because of it. So it's all about that, about her passing the trials. Definitely dangerous. You go out into the forest at night and there's different types of trials and you have to survive is what it is. You survive from the monsters type of thing. So it was a good book. I did enjoy it. I will continue the series. I don't know if I'm like in a super rush to continue it, but I did enjoy it. And I do love her other series, the Witchland series. I love, love, love that series. But this one was good. I did enjoy it. So that is the Luminaries. Okay, next we have, this is The Dark Archive by Genevieve Cogman. So this is an Invisible Library book. This is the 7th. I'm going to look real quick, I can't remember for sure. I think it is like the 7th book. And there are 8 or 9. I'm going to look. Okay, this is the 7th. And I think I have one more book. So there's 8. Obviously, I've really enjoyed this series because I'm on book 7th. So this is categorized as sci-fi, but it's not really sci-fi in the fact that it's, you know, space or spaceships or aliens type of thing. But there's, I guess, some kind of time travel a little bit, I guess, because different worlds are in different time periods. So the premise of this, so the library is a place that brings stability to various worlds by stealing books, rare books from different worlds. And it's like the multiverse, kind of, if you're familiar with the MCU. So it's kind of the same thing, the multiverse, but they're different worlds. But still Earth type of thing, if that makes sense. So the library, the Invisible Library, is in charge of stealing rare books that will stabilize that world from chaos or order. So there are also dragons in this, and there are also fae in this. And fae are chaos, and then dragons are order. So the library is what stabilizes those worlds. So they're mortal enemies, the dragons and the fae. They don't get along. So that's the premise of the whole series. It's such a fun series. Irene is the main character, Irene Winters, and it follows her story. And then she has Kai, who is a dragon. And they're dragons in that they can take human form. So they're not just beasts. So they can take a human form as well. And so anyway, it leads up through. It's a fun series. It's a really good series. So with the Dark Archive, we have some returning bad guys in this one, and there are some high stakes for sure. You have some things revealed about Irene that I thought might be the case and seems to be what is happening. So there's a different kind of bad guy in all of them, but there's been kind of a main bad guy through a few of them, and then he seemed to have dropped off of the radar. They thought he was dead. He's not dead. So anyway, this is a great book. It's hard when it's the 7th book to talk about things because there's so much that has happened in it. But let me read what it says. Irene is teaching her new assistant the fundamentals of a librarian's job, and she is finding that training a young Fae is more difficult than she expected. But when they are the targets of kidnapping and assassination attempts, she decides that learning by doing is the only option they have left. So the world that she lives in, she ends up getting assigned to a specific world as a librarian in resident. And she has powers as a librarian where they can speak this certain language that can kind of stop or kind of change reality a little bit. It works kind of on actual living people, but it's very dangerous to do. But she's able to like open doors, but she's got to talk like specifics for it to work right, or it could work out not the way it's supposed to. Okay, so in order to protect themselves, Irene and her friends must do what they do best. Search for information to defeat the overwhelming threat they face and identify their unseen enemy. To do that, Irene will have to delve deeper into her own history than she ever has before and face an ancient foe and uncover secrets that will change her life and the course of the library forever. So I love this one. It was great. Probably one of my favorites from the series so far, and there's one book left, so we'll see where it goes for sure. So if I'm rating them all, Emily Wilde, 5 stars. Luminaries, about a 3-star. Danielle Steele, 2-star. And then The Dark Archive, I'd probably give 4.5, 5 stars. So I would probably give this one 5 stars. It was great. So that's it, you guys. So thank you for spending some time with me. I know, again, it's not my normal type of video, and this was kind of all over the place because this is the first time I've shared these things speaking about them instead of writing about them on Goodreads or on social media. So anyway, it was fun to do. I don't know if I'll continue. Let me know in the comments if that's something you're interested in or not. I probably will continue, but we'll see. But I should maybe do what I'm going to read this month for April. We'll see. But thank you so much for spending some time with me. Until next time, TTFN. Ta-ta for now.